All right, thank you guys. Welcome to our NBA video here today for Tuesday, March 16th. And if you're new here, I just want to take a quick time out and welcome you to my channel. My name is Brock Page and I do sports picks for free right here on YouTube. And if you want to find out how many of these picks I make here today are also being featured on my premium content, you might want to think about checking me out at patreon.com/BrockPage. I'll talk a little bit more about that in just a second. But with that, guys, got ourselves a nice slate of NBA action. Not a whole lot of games, but I wouldn't quite say it's a short slate. Kind of right in the middle. It's a good size slate of games. So anyway, we're going to go ahead and take a look at the Jazz taking on the Celtics, 7:30 p.m. Eastern start time in Boston. The Utah Jazz are the 4-point favorite on the road. Totals 228.5. And if you like the Celtics in an upset on their home court here tonight, they're plus $1.50 on the money line. And following a winning day on my Patreon website yesterday, we also improved to 7-1 in our last 8 extra daily pick tier package plays on that very same Patreon page. And if you want to access today's extra daily pick, it's only going to cost you just $2.99. We also improved to 19-2 in our last 21 extra daily picks in that very same tier membership. And if you want to join the 1,325 members who are currently signed up and active on that page, link for that site is in the description section below. Once again, that's patreon.com/BrockPage. And despite playing some really good basketball lately, the Celtics are just 2 games above 500 for the year, and they find themselves in the bottom 10 in fourth quarter scoring. Now, Boston also makes just 75% of their free throws as a team. Now, they're taking on a Utah squad who's first in the NBA in road offensive rebounding, top 3 in shooting the 3-ball. The Jazz are scoring 117 points per contest, and they're making over 40% of their three-pointers when they travel. Donovan Mitchell's averaging 24 points a game, along with 4 rebounds, 5 assists. Meanwhile, Jordan Clarkson's averaging nearly 18 a night off the bench himself, 4 rebounds and a couple assists for the role player. Utah's in the top 5 in defensive field goal percentage, and they allow just 108 points per contest. Now, total-wise, Utah saw 7 out of their last 9 get over the line, 60% to the over when they travel. Meanwhile, the Celtics are 70% to the over in their last 10 themselves, 10-7 to the over at the Garden. I'm going to lean toward the Utah Jazz -4 and the over 228.5. All right, next ball game, it is going to be Cavaliers Heat, 8 o'clock East. The Miami Heat are -10.5, totals 207, juice to the under. And Miami's on a 4-game winning streak, 10-1 straight up in their last 11. The Heat's in the top 3 in defensive field goal percentage, and they allow just 107 points per contest. Jimmy Butler scoring 21 points a game, along with 7 rebounds and 8 assists. Meanwhile, Bam Adebayo is scoring almost 20 a night himself, 9.5 rebounds and 5 assists for the starting center. Miami currently leads the NBA in defensive field goal percentage at home. They're also in the top 3 defensively in home points allowed. They're taking on a Cleveland squad who's still going to work without Prince, Dellavedova, and Love. The Cavaliers have won just 5 of 19 away from their home court, and they covered the number in just 26% of those road games. Cleveland's currently 10 games below 500 right now, and they rank dead last in the NBA in scoring on average per contest. They're averaging just 98 points a game when they travel, and they're also shooting just 30% from beyond the arc in that same category. Now, total-wise, 3 out of Cleveland's last 4 stayed under the line, 80% to the under in their last 10. Meanwhile, Miami saw 5 out of their last 6 stay under the number themselves. I'm going to go ahead and lean toward the Miami Heat -10.5 and the under 207. Next contest, it is going to be Knicks Sixers, 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. Now, the Philadelphia 76ers are the 7-point favorite on their home court. Totals 218 flat. And despite the absence of Joel Embiid, Philly's on a 5-game winning streak, 80% against the number in their last 10. Now, the Sixers currently lead the NBA in offensive field goal percentage at home. They're also in the top 3 in home scoring. Tobias Harris is dropping over 20 a night, along with 7.5 rebounds and 3.5 assists. Meanwhile, Ben Simmons is scoring 16 a game himself, 7 boards, 7 assists for the starting point guard. The Sixers score over 119 points a game at the Wells Fargo Center. They've also won 17 of 20 contests at the Wells Fargo Center this year. Now, Philly is taking on a Knicks squad who's in the bottom three in road scoring, and they average just 102 points per contest when they travel. Now, the Knicks have also won just 9 of 22 road games this year, and they actually lost their last 10 straight head-to-head meetings with Philly. Now, Rivers and Rose are still out for New York. Elfrid Payton is also doubtful. When it comes to the scoring in this one, New York's last 5 straight all did get over the posted number. It did get over the posted number. 7-1 to the over in their last 8. Meanwhile, the Sixers are 5-1 to the over in their last 6 themselves. 13-7 to the over at the Wells Fargo Center. I'm going to lean toward the Philadelphia 76ers -7 in the over 218. Next ball game, it is going to be Hawks-Rockets, 8 p.m. Eastern tip-off in Houston. The Atlanta Hawks are the 9.5-point favorite on the road, numbers 225. Now, Atlanta's on a 5-game winning streak, 4-1 against the number in those 5 victories. The Hawks are in the top 10 in the NBA in offensive rebounding, top 3 in defending the 3-ball. Trae Young is scoring 26 points per contest, along with 4 rebounds and 9 assists. Meanwhile, John Collins is dropping over 17.5 points a game himself, along with 7 boards. The Hawks are currently, they have a win percentage of .600 when they are favored. They're taking on a Houston squad who's on a 16-game losing streak. And they successfully covered the point spread in just 12% of those ball games. Now, Nwaba, Wall, and Gordon are still out. McLemore, House, Wood, and Tucker are questionable. Houston's currently 15 games below .500 right now, and they've been victorious in only 5 of 16 home games. Even worse than that, the Rockets are currently 3-13 against the spread in their games at the Toyota Center this season. Now, total-wise, Houston's 6-3 to the under in their last 9, 13-3 to the under on their home court. Meanwhile, Atlanta saw 4 out of their last 6 stay under the number themselves. I'm going to lean toward the Atlanta Hawks -9.5 and the under 225. All right, next ball game. It is going to be OKC versus Chicago. 9 o'clock Eastern start time in the Windy City. Now, the Chicago Bulls are -5.5 at home with the total at 225. Chicago's lost 4 out of their last 6, and they successfully covered the point spread just twice during that 6-game stretch. Chicago's also really struggled at the United Center this season. Winners of just 8 of 21 on their home court, only 38% against the number in those home games. The Bulls are in the bottom 3 in the NBA in defensive field goal percentage at home, and they allow 114 points per contest at the United Center as well. Now, they're taking on an OKC squad who's actually won 3 out of their last 4 ball games themselves. And they also went 7-3 against the spread in their last 10, good for 70% during that span. And despite Horford and Bazley sitting this one out, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander still scoring nearly 24 points a game, along with 5 rebounds and 6 assists. Meanwhile, Hamid Diallo is scoring basically a dozen a game himself, along with 5 rebounds and a couple assists as well. The OKC Thunder is currently 13-6 against the spread in their 19 road games, one of the better road covering teams in the association. They also lead the NBA in defending the 3-ball on the road, top 3 in points allowed on the road as well. Now, when it comes to the number in this one, OKC's 12-7 to the under on their home court. Did I say 12-7 to the under on their home court? I don't really think that matters because they're traveling here. But anyway, Chicago saw their last 2 straight stay under the line themselves. What I'm trying to get at is OKC's seen their fair share of unders. I'm going to lean toward the OKC Thunder +5.5 and the under 225. Next ball game, it is going to be Pelicans Blazers, 10 p.m. Eastern showdown. The Portland Trailblazers are -2 with the total at 238. And if you like New Orleans in an upset victory on the road here, they're plus $1.10 for some money line cash. Now, the Pelicans have lost 5 out of their last 8 ball games, 5-12 straight up in their contests away from home. New Orleans ranks dead last in defending the 3-ball on the road, and and they give up 117 points a game when they travel. Now, their opponents are making nearly 43% of their three balls when New Orleans is away. They're taking on a Portland squad who won 4 out of their last 6 contests themselves, 11-7 straight up at the Motor Center this year. Portland ranks in the top 10 in the NBA in scoring, and they also rank first in the association in free throw percentage at home. Dame Lillard scoring nearly 30 points per contest, 4 rebounds, 7 assists for the All-Star. Meanwhile, Gary Trent Jr. is scoring over 15 points a night himself. Now, scoring-wise, Portland saw contests with Minnesota, Golden State, the Lakers, and Denver stay under the line within the past few weeks or so. Meanwhile, the Pels saw 2 out of their last 4 stay under the line themselves. I'm going to lean toward the Portland Trailblazers -2 and the under 238. With that, guys, we're going to dive into our next and final matchup for the show. It is going to be T-Wolves Lakers, 10:30 Eastern start time. The Lakers are -8.5 at home, totals 223 flat. But despite a nice stretch of wins for LA recently, they just can't seem to cover the number all too much at the Staples Center. LA successfully covered the point spread in just 8 of 20 home games, and they're ranked in the bottom 3 in home three-point shooting. LA is also in the bottom 5 in the NBA in free throw shooting as well. Caruso and Davis are still out. Gasol is also out on COVID protocol as well. LA's taking on a Minnesota squad who's actually 3-0 against the spread in their last 3 straight. And they picked up the W twice during that stretch. Now, Minnesota's in the top 10 defensively in third quarter points allowed, top 10 offensively in second quarter scoring on the road. Karl Anthony Towns is scoring nearly 22 points a game along with 10.5 boards and 4 assists. Meanwhile, Anthony Edwards is dropping over 15.5 points per contest himself, along with 4 rebounds and 2.5 assists. Minnesota's won 6 out of their last 10 meetings with Los Angeles, 60% against the number in those 10 ball games. Now, total-wise, Minnesota went 75% to the over in their last 8 contests, 11-9 to the over when they travel. Meanwhile, 3 out of the Lakers' last 4 got over the line themselves, 11-9 to the over on their home court. I'm going to lean toward the underdog Minnesota Timberwolves +8.5 and the over 223. And with that, guys, we're going to dive into our quick pick recap. Once again, powered to you by my Patreon website, where we are 7-1 in my last 8 extra daily picks on that Patreon page. We're also 19-2 in our last 21 extra daily picks in that very same tier membership. I like the Jazz -4 over 228.5. Miami Heat -10.5 under 207. I like the Sixers -7 over 218. Atlanta Hawks -9.5 under 225. OKC +5.5 under 225. Portland -2 under 238. And before I give you my next and final free pick for the video, please feel free to hit that thumbs up button if you liked today's video. Also, please feel free to hit that subscribe button if you haven't done so already. Give me the Minnesota Timberwolves +8.5 and the over 223. And with that, guys, one final reminder, all the content on my YouTube channel is for entertainment purposes only. I don't make any guarantees of any kind. And with that, guys, we're going to dive into some shout-outs to our top 10 YouTube commenters over the past couple of days or so. Shout out to David Gott, Michael Kahn, Carl Zenner, Stephen James, Corey Jones, Teddy Choba, Chris Brown, C. Lewis, Arthur Meade Jr., and last but certainly not least, got to give a shout out to my good friend, Charlie Griswold. All right, guys, that's going to do it for me. Don't forget to check me out on Patreon. If you guys decide to get a package here today, just keep in mind we'll bill you the day you sign up and then the first of every month following that. Most importantly, guys, got to thank you for joining me right here on YouTube. Really hope you enjoyed all this great free content, all this great free information. And with that said, happy Tuesday to you. Best of luck to you. And I look forward to seeing you later on today on my website at patreon.com/BrockPage.